Joining me now from our bureau in Washington, D.C., Press Secretary for the National Republican Congressional Committee, Jesse Hunt. Jesse, I think we could safely say, no matter how you slice and dice the results from the 8 primaries that took place on Super Tuesday, that at this moment in time, there is no blue wave that amounts to anything. It's more like a ripple. And we can specifically say no blue wave in key states of California and New Jersey.
Absolutely. What we saw last night in California was actually strong Republican turnout in several districts that are being targeted by Democrats. Republicans were actually the top vote getters in that district as far as total vote. And we actually saw a significant Republican turnout in Orange County District, California 39, where there was a state Senate recall happening because of the gas tax in California. There's a state senator there who was an ardent supporter of the gas tax and voted for it. And actually, Republican voters turned out in droves to recall that gentleman. And ultimately, this is a vote that will be on the fall ballot as well, when California voters will have the choice whether or not they want to repeal the gas tax. And we think that's a huge motivator for Republican turnout.
And it is. And it's also very important for turnout that there is a Republican running for governor, officially one of the top 2 candidates for California in November. You look at the results, and John Cox finished pretty strong. I think he had 26%. Gavin Newsom at 33%. But if you start adding up the numbers, and you give the remaining Democrat votes to Newsom and the remaining Republican to Cox, there's still quite an uphill battle here. I think we're seeing Cox already start moving more toward the left, which is almost a given in the state of California, because in the end, Cox has to pick up some Democrat votes and a lot of independent voters, and there are many, many independent voters in California. The bottom line for Cox, I think that the Trump endorsement helped him greatly to secure the position going into November. It helped him in the primary, but do you think it's going to hurt him in the general in California?
Well, we in our organization specialize in House races, so I'm not as fluent on what he's looking for, what his campaign strategy is, and what the Governors Association, which is our colleagues that handle governors races, what their plans are. But having a Republican at the top of the ticket surely helps motivate Republican voters to turn out to the polls, as does the gas tax repeal, which I alluded to just a short while ago.
Right. Okay. So Bill Kristol, the pundit, was suggesting that Republicans vote for Democrat Villaraigosa in the race for governor in California, saying that he's a moderate. But again, he's missing the big picture here. It's what you are alluding to. And having a Republican on the ticket in November in California is crucial for those down ballot races. And we've seen the opposite effect in the race for Senate. It's Dianne Feinstein and this De Leon character out of Sacramento, who's a rabid radical. So you have 2 radicals running against each other and no Republican. This is a result of the jungle primary that exists in California.
Correct. We saw national Democratic groups come in and spend over $7 million on 3 House races in order to avoid a catastrophe, which would have been a lockout in those districts. That's not a position of strength for them. We actually were successful in accomplishing our primary objective, which was making sure that one formidable Republican candidate made it through to the runoff, and we were successful in that. And the Democrats today are celebrating just barely averting a disaster, but now having to rally around damaged candidates that have been the recipient of personal attacks from members of their own party.
And let's face it, the jungle primary was installed by the Democrat machine in California in order to try and shut out Republican candidates, but also shut out the lesser candidates, the smaller party, Green Party candidates. They're all getting shut out because of this system. So it worked on one hand in the race for Senate. But in other races, it almost appeared to be a circular firing squad among the Democrats. So almost backfired in certain cases. And the 48th district in California, I think, is an example of how it almost backfired. You have Rohrabacher coming in on top, and then you have 2 Democrats. There's going to be a recount here. They both have 17%. He's going to face one of these 2 Democrats. So barring an October surprise, Do you suspect that Rohrabacher will hold this seat in the 48th?
Dana Rohrabacher is in an extremely strong position. This is still a Republican-leaning district, and Dana Rohrabacher has done everything he's promised as far as properly representing the district. He's focused on local issues like making sure that surfers in Huntington Beach have proper shark detection when they're out there enjoying their daily activities, or making sure that flight paths are proper going over residential areas in Irvine, California. Those are the type of local issues that voters care about, and those are ultimately what makes them pull the lever for a candidate in the fall. And I think Dana is going to be successful once again.
All right, let's move over to New Jersey now. Some interesting results there. And I think that the Democrats once again can claim victory here of sorts. They got pretty much all the candidates that they wanted for the competitive races, competed against Republicans in November. The Republicans, some encouraging results, including John McCain. And then you have Menendez, who could be and should be the gift that keeps on giving to the Republican Party. Does Bob Hugin have the full support of your committee, and can he knock off Menendez?
Well, actually, that's for one of our counterparts as well, the National Republican Senatorial Committee. They handle the Senate races. We handle the House side. As you know, there's a pretty large House battlefield, so we have all the races that we can handle. So I defer to my counterparts on that. But as far as the House races are concerned and how Bob Menendez might play there, I think the cloud of scandal surrounding Menendez would rub off on a lot of Democratic candidates that are running. I think there's just the stench that they just won't be able to outrun. And we think that in the districts that are currently open, that we'll be able to hold them, and even threaten Josh Gottheimer in a district where the Republican candidate for governor last cycle actually won despite being defeated in a landslide statewide. So we feel pretty confident in our ability to compete in New Jersey. All
right, so we zoom out and we look at the big picture to date, including the Super Tuesday results. It seems as though Republican candidates, overall, the Republican Party is in pretty decent position in blue states and in pretty good position in red states. Would you handicap it that way?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's hard for Democrats or people in general to argue with the results that we're seeing, with a very strong economy and foreign policy accomplishments that are coming by the day.
All right. And it seems as though, it's obvious by the numbers in Congress right now, in the House, that the Democrats are at a deficit position. And that's the position that they have to attack from. And they're coming from a position that's not of strength. The Republican Party is. And so it's the Republicans to lose. But it does appear that no matter how these numbers shake out, that we could have a razor-close, razor-sharp finish come November. We shall see. Jesse, thank you.